8 players played the game. The season is over, but not before we bring everyone back to talk about the season. The players talk about the challenges, reveal their thoughts. We also answer some of your questions. Join us in this final recap of Season 5 of The Mole. 5th episode, challenge number 9, Everyone's a Critic. This one had a potential of 400 points, 600 points. You got 400, the Mole got 200. Obviously, Pappy was the critic, basically, and we had Alexander, Bon, and Stig building. Alexander had the lucky joy of picking the room with the very hard thing to build. People seem to love your build, Stig, and they also seem to think Bon's build was decent. I mean, there was some love and hate towards Alexander's build. Some people thought he was playing some games there that they could build a better dishwasher. But your guys' thought on Everyone's a Critic?
Yeah, that honestly really solidified it for me when I really expected that it was Alex, because the others, Stiggs was really good as a Scorpion, which I think out of the 3 was the hardest, in my opinion, to build. And then Bonds, obviously I wasn't sure if it was a Ghast or a Ghost, but I figured a Ghast would be square. But Alex's, I had absolutely no idea what that was. And so I thought he had intentionally built a white cube with a hole in it. So trying to throw that challenge. So that's when I think when I started putting all of my votes on Alex.
Yeah, I thought Alex had a really hard one to build. Like, I knew what all 3 of them were before we did it, and I made sure not to pick the dishwasher, because I knew that one would be the hardest. I think Alex built quite a good one for the time he had.
Definitely. For this challenge, I kind of predicted what would happen, because I was really confident that I thought Pappy was the mole, because I had put pretty much all my answers on him during the last couple of quizzes, and I was still here, and I was really shocked by this, so I thought I knew it was Pappy. So the fact that he was the critic, I was like, yeah, it don't really matter. He's got to be the mole. If I put my answers on him, I'll get it right. So basically, what I thought would happen, which actually did happen, was that Pappy would be the critic, and then would get like some diamonds or more diamonds for the players and some for the mole, which obviously did happen. And yeah, I predicted that, and it did come true, which put me even more towards Pappy. And I was wrong.
Looking at Bon, since Bon knew what everything was, and Pappy obviously didn't guess Alexander's, did you have any inkling, Stig, that it was a dishwasher?
Honestly, no.
Now, some viewers complained that I gave you guys too much time. My response to that is obviously it's hard to do, but Alexander had plenty of time, and I don't think he used it effectively. I mean, his build was very small. He had more space. If he could have made it bigger and taken more time, could it have been better? I mean, what was going through your head? Maybe Sweden, do you guys not have dishwashers? Maybe you didn't even know what they were.
First of all, we do have dishwashers, but I'm not that good of a builder, so it was kind of difficult. I think I spent half the time just planning it out, and it didn't end up as I wanted.
All right. Well, it was an interesting challenge. It was a big room. There was a lot of stuff going on in it, decorations and things. And I enjoy the charades type building, people guessing things. Obviously, we've done some stuff mini game wise, so it was fun to do. But let's move on to a challenge, Dig Like the Wind. And we have a viewer question about this one too. This challenge was worth 400. You guys got 244. The Mole got nothing. Obviously, we've done Dig Like the Wind before. Very similar layout in the past. You know, the diamond placement, I want to stress right off the bat, is random. I used World Edit to place the exact number of diamonds randomly, so I did not place them manually. So there could have been some in one spots and some in others. But we do have a question, and that question is from AC Daisy. and it's for Bon. And the question was, you had the least diamonds out of everyone. Did you just not find as much, or did you not put in all your diamonds?
I actually had the most diamonds out of everyone, but I kept half of them and just only put in the rest of them.
Wait, half of them? How many did you have?
But Boz let me go through another version of the world, so I'd written down where like big bits of them were and stuff, so I knew where a lot of them were. So I tried to get a bunch of them and then only put in half of the ones I had.
Jesus Christ, okay.
Now, one thing that I will mention too, I forget which player it was. I think might have been Pappy that said it was either Pappy or Stig. I think it was Pappy. Saw diamonds that were in a tunnel that were left, and then the finger was pointed at Bon. Was that the case? Did you actually mine diamonds, Bon, or uncover them but leave them?
I, as far as I knew, mined every diamond I found because my plan was to hold them on me so none of them could mine them. I had no idea I left any.
You left like 3 or 4. I thought it was Stig's tunnel at first, and then you guys said it was Bon, and I was like, on the video you can hear me say, well, that's interesting.
So, I mean, this one obviously was a speedy challenge. You had to be quick and efficient. I had no idea up until right now that Bon had found that many diamonds. I didn't even know that he kept any, to be honest, because we do these episodes bang, 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 and we don't have a lot of time in between. And I don't ever want to talk to the mole like in between stuff because I don't want to make people say, why is Bon's talking to that person longer than he should? I always hope that, honestly, on that subject too, during when I say, who do you think is the mole when I interview people, Stig talked long paragraphs. I always wondered if players in their heads were like, man, he's talking a lot to Boz. Is he the mole? I don't, because in previous seasons, people have thought that. But I don't know if that ever came into any of your guys' heads in this season.
I wasn't even paying attention to how long people were taking.
Yeah, neither was I.
Neither, really.
The only thing I noticed a lot towards the end was Bon, I think during the last 2 or 3 quizzes, would go AFK.
To eat a pizza or something.
Between the challenges. So even though I was so focused on Alex, I did think it was quite mullish that Bon was kept disappearing between challenges because I thought maybe he was afraid that he might give something away if he talked too much.
Well, I can tell you, he wasn't going away to talk to us. I don't talk to the mole during the episodes, even in between two episodes when we're taking a slight break. So I'm not sure, Bon, what your breaks were for, if they were legit breaks or if they were fear of leaking info.
Yeah, I was actually eating pizza. it was just innocent pizza. It was yum pizza.
All right, girlfriend.
Yeah, I was gonna do that.
That was the cringiest part for me in that whole episode. I'm gonna put that on the soundboard.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's funny.
All right, so let's talk quiz. We had another tie. Obviously, this was Alexander's exit from the game. He had 2 right, and also Stig got 2 right. Pappy only got 3 right. And Bon got 9 right. The tie between Alexander and Stig was 2 seconds faster.
Oh my god.
Really?
I love you, buddy.
This episode I called in my head when things got real because you guys were all over the place and it finally clicked in to you guys once Alexander left. When that elimination hit and he went, the light bulbs went off, well, in one player's head, and the light bulb went off the wrong way for the other player.
I was very stressed.
I think Pappy, this was when Pappy was shocked because everything in Pappy's world was flip-flopped here.
Yes, and with the edit, one of the things that was missed was me screaming, how am I still here? Because I had put every single answer on Alex, and I thought that Boz was playing with me because I got called up first and was in. And my thought was, well, wonderful. I know who the mole is now. This proves it. And then Alex got up after me, and I felt Boz did this intentionally to mess with me. Alex gets eliminated, and I had absolutely no idea what was going on. My first thought was, it's a lie. Boz is lying to us. This is a trick. He's going to come back. And yeah, I was totally shocked.
We definitely, in between each episode's quizzes when they're done, Kama and I look at them. We try to decide what order to put people up in. We want to try to be sneaky. We don't want to like not put the mole up and give them the green screen at like different times. We want to be as random as possible, but we also want to throw things at people. A lot of times I like to, every season, throw somebody out on the first, the first call up because they never expect it. That's always entertaining. But definitely, I mean, I knew you were locked in the wrong way. And we definitely felt like this was a good way of revealing that. Now, when it comes to the viewers after this episode thought it was Pappy. But this is when was funny for this episode, because 32.9% thought it was Bond, 32.9% thought it was Stig. So they were dead tied, and 34.2% thought it was Pappy. So pretty much a third across the board, 33% for both of you. So the viewers are evenly split for the most part. But it does change in the last episode.
Yeah, during the during the quizzes and the interviews and all this is where Stig and I were freaking out, and we probably shared more words, I think, during that time than through this entire game. And Bond was eating pizza.
Yeah, and Bond was
He's the
just too
only
passive.
one that didn't seem shocked or surprised or freaked out. And so it was one of the things that really drew me into Bond, because Stig was freaked out, I was freaked out, and Bond was eating pizza.
I tried
See-
not to be freaked out because I actually said, I think after the elimination, I actually said the person I'm voting for is still in it, because at that point I was telling everyone I was voting for Stig. So I was like, okay, I'm voting for Stig, I'm still in it, Stig must be the mole.
Yeah, because Pappy was shocked for a totally different reason, which I'll come back to later. But Pappy was actually shocked because Alex was eliminated. He thought Alex was the mole. I was shocked for a completely different reason, and I'll come back to that later.
Now, in the player voting, one player voted for Alexander. We know who that was. And 2 voted for Pappy. Again, all of these episodes, nobody's yet to vote for Bond. Obviously, Alexander voting for Pappy, Stig voting for Pappy, Pappy voting for Alexander. That was your breakdown in that. All right, well, our roving reporter has now got a question for Alexander.
Hello, Mr. Alexander.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Okay, so this was your very first season of being in the mole. You got pretty far. But you got so close to the finale and you got eliminated. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty sad, even more now when I know it was only 2 seconds for me staying.
Okay, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, no further questions.
It's like a court of law. What's that one Nintendo game? Phoenix Wright or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's DB. All right. Last episode. First challenge, number 11, The Escape. Now, Kama built this. You guys had a potential of winning 300 diamonds. You didn't get anything. Your guys' thoughts on The Escape. For me now, at least, it seemed this challenge, you guys didn't seem to be communicating at all. People weren't listening to each other. This seemed like a complete mess to me, your guys' cooperation.
Actually, during the challenge, I thought we were cooperating quite well.
I was so angry during this challenge. And I even got angrier watching it as a viewer, because I couldn't get a word in edgewise between Bond and Stig, who were pretty much chatting the entire challenge about nothing that had anything to do with anything. And it was like nonstop, constant, to the point where I didn't even know what I was supposed to do because like Bon never told me until like halfway through the challenge that there was another dispenser up above, which would have connected to the one that was in my room. And I was like, they were talking about obsidian, so I'm like, okay, well, I have a water block, so if we have a lava block, then I can get obsidian. Because I was so confused about what we needed, because these two guys just the entire time just didn't stop.
Well, where you was angry, I was actually stressed, because after Alex being eliminated, and we obviously record 2 episodes per thing, so Alex has just been eliminated, we are doing the challenge. I was really stressed, because at this point, I had no idea if it was Bon or Pappy, and I was really stressed trying to think of who it could have been, and I feel like that's what really mucks me over on this challenge, just all the stress coming in and having to try to figure out a puzzle whilst I'm stressed, and I just think I went all over the place.
I was worried in this challenge because there was one point I thought I'd given away the fact that I had seen the challenge before, because at the end, when Pappy was doing the parkour to get the diamond pickaxe, he didn't tell us what he was doing. Like, he didn't tell us he was getting a diamond pickaxe, so I said, oh, we need Pappy to do the parkour to grab that diamond pickaxe. Then I was like, oh wait, he hasn't actually said it's diamond pickaxe, so I've just given away the fact that I knew that. But then Stig was like, what did you say? I said, we still need a diamond pickaxe, and then Stig said, oh, that's what's up with Pappy, so I was so worried at that point.
Well, I said that must be what's up at Pappy's parkour, and I never said it was, but...
Yeah, I was spending, and one of the reasons why I was messing up so bad with the parkour was because I was so mad during that challenge, and I knew that the mole would know what each room was, and so I felt like I'd been set up to get the dirt room, because Bon was the one that suggested that I take the dirt room, and I knew that, and see, and this is where I had made a comment on the video that I was going to talk about this, where I'd commented that there was differences in personalities that might have caused us not to figure out some things earlier in that, and I don't mean this in a negative way towards anybody, but when Stig thinks, everything that comes in his head comes out.
Yeah.
And it comes out in a big jumbled ramble. And Bon, when he gets going, sometimes you can't even understand what he's saying. So I knew that Bon was the mole, and I felt that he was poking Stig to get Stig going. And then it was like the two of them in such a fast-talking, rambled jumble that I could not even keep up with what they were talking about.
See, one of you was angry, one of you was stressed, the other one was worried. I was laughing the whole time because my perspective was actually Pappy. So the whole time I was watching Pappy failing at parkour.
Oh, so bad. Oh, and I have a question for you on this, Kama.
Yeah.
Because I know you're the one that built this one.
Mm-hmm.
In the very first challenge during Hot Feet, I had made a comment, and it's on the video, that if this challenge was made of ice, we would have to call it Cold Feet. Did that influence you when you put ice parkour in this challenge?
Not at all.
Okay, because I thought my words had bit me.
Because that was like 3 weeks later, so I mostly didn't even remember what happened in the first and second challenge. I just thought ice parkour would be a bit harder since we already had some, small parkour, medium parkour. So I thought, let's do some hard parkour with fences and ice.
Yeah, I saw the ice and I thought, me and my big mouth.
I didn't purposely try to put Pappy on parkour, but I knew which one was the easiest, which is the water one, because I had no lava maze, no parkour. And Stig said that he really wanted fire, so I was like, okay, I'm in the middle. Let's just put it in the right order.
Well, you guys said that you didn't want fire, so I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. So, but Pappy, do we want to talk about after the challenge and the argument about the ladder climbing thing?
Yeah.
Oh, that was breaking rule. Well, technically not, but I did intend you guys to take the ladder and, end the parkour.
Well, that's why I asked the question. You know, did in the rules it said that we could break and replace things that we placed, right? And everybody said yes. So I thought, well, okay, well, forget the parkour. I'm just going to grab a ladder and climb out of here.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't break any rules. It was just not intended the way I thought it,
But-
should have been.
But between the challenges, Stig seemed like he got really mad because I didn't just do the challenge the way that it was meant to be, and that it was clear that I was supposed to do the fence parkour, and he just seemed really upset that I would circumnavigate the rules, or what he thought was the rules, and cheat.
Yeah, after the challenge we got to look around, I saw that Pappy used ladders. I was like, wait, Pappy, was that there, or was these the ladders you got in the challenge? He was like, no, I just broke them from here and put them in. I got really quite frustrated. I was isn't that cheating though? Because they're supposed to be used there, not here, and you're supposed to be doing this fence parkour, I think it was, get out, and it was just all really dramatic after the challenge, and I just got a bit frustrated.
The thing about that as well is, even though I put signs everywhere where I told you what you have to build, where you have to put it, in some cases, sometimes, some people just put the wrong thing on the block they're supposed to put. So I had to implement the rule that you can break everything you craft.
Yeah, and it's not abnormal for players to figure out tricks to get around things that we planned. I think it was last season, I forget the name of the challenge, but the one where Silicon was inside the cage and there was the minecart you could push in to send stuff to him. The players did it completely different in the case of Piper, who built that challenge, had intended. So sometimes people figure out either little tricks or easier ways around things. And that's one of the difficulties of this not being some big production where we have 20, 30 people who can come in and have different groups test things and all that. So you don't find maybe some of those quick outs that people come up with. All right, last challenge. The infamous challenge number 12, the long and winding road. You guys did get one right, which ties last season. Up until the last season, no one had ever gotten one right at all out of the group of 3 players. Your guys' thoughts on the friendship breaker, the long and winding road.
I lied on one of my
I know you
answers
did. You told me.
because I knew that they would get it wrong, so I changed it, and that was who would be the better UHC partner.
Yeah.
And I said Stig because I knew they would immediately think Stig because he's
UHC.
one of the top players. But I honestly, I almost put Bond, because when Stig plays the game, it's all about winning the game. When Bond plays the game, it's all about having fun.
Friends.
But I didn't think they would get that, so that's why I lied and changed my answer.
See, well, after we said me, it wasn't until after that we'd already made the decision. I was like, actually, wait, I think it's gonna be Bond because they have the better relationship. I think they would have more of a fun time. And then it was revealed. I was like, oh, okay. So it just kind of went out my mind. But yeah, I once we said it, I did actually think that you would have chose Bond.
Well, I didn't do anything Molish here. I just answered all my questions truthfully because I knew the chances of us getting all of them right were quite low, and I had already had a huge lead in Diamond, so...
Yeah, I think this challenge for me was more about having fun. I felt that Bond had, well, I say Bond, the mole had pretty much already beaten us, but with this challenge, I always wanted to have fun. I didn't really want to do anything mole-ish. I wanted to more just play the game as it was meant to be played and see how we did. So
ever since the campfire, before I even knew I was the mole, I'd said during it that the one challenge I was so excited for was the long and winding road.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think once we got down to actually the final 4, I think by then we'd played enough that we were all comfortable with each other, and I mean the silliness just got real. I mean, there was so much stuff that was going on, especially between challenges that. Yeah.
Well, there might be some reveals of that in a behind the scenes thing, because I do have recordings of the Mumble channel in between challenges. So we'll see.
Oh no.
The only bad thing is I don't really have video footage because it was only recording the audio. But, what we need some like super expert like artists who can do animated versions of your guys' weirdness.
Oh no.
So if you're out there, call me. All right, so let's talk quiz. Obviously, the viewers were originally thinking it was Pappy previously, and it was a third for you guys, with Pappy just getting a slight edge. Well, this week Pappy's edge was greater. It was 41.2% thinking it was Pappy versus 34%. So Pappy was your clear leader. Stig was at 32.9 previously. He went to 36.8. So more people thought Stig too, but not as much as Pappy. Bon was 32.9% in the previous episode, dropped to 22.1. So less people thought Bon after that last episode.
So Bon fooled the fans all season too.
Yeah, I mean, generally when it gets down to the last group, the last couple episodes, people start narrowing it in. There's always somebody who says they think it's the mole early on, but generally a lot of people. We had a viewer who swore he knew who it was. He was like, "Oh, I saw a complete like slip up in your video. I know who the mole is." And I'm like, "Well, send me a message. Let me know." As soon as he did come back and message me, and he kind of backed off, but he thought it was Alexander. So, and he never did say what it was, but he said it was a mistake. So at least he was honest. When it comes to the quiz, though, for you guys, Stig, you got 1 right.
Yes!
Pappy, you got 7 right, and you beat Bon, who only got 6 right.
Well, I wasn't really paying attention to what I did. I was basically just saying, if I remember them, I'll put them down.
And obviously, Stig voted for Pappy as the mole, and Pappy voted for Bon as the mole.
Yeah. Stress got to me. My thinking behind it was I didn't think Alex was the mole at all. So me thinking that he wasn't the mole, or knowing that he wasn't the mole, and Pappy had told me that he was putting answers on Alex. I thought he was trying to throw me off and like make me put answers on Alex. Yeah, me thinking that Alex wasn't the mole, Pappy putting all his answers on Alex, him being here just didn't seem possible to me. So I got really confused, stressed, and I was like, well, Alex is eliminated and he's still here, so I guess that's a good reason to like be the mole. And then I was kind of thinking along the lines of Bon, that no one that I know of had really put answers on him. And I was trying to think of all the things that he had done mole-ish, and I couldn't think of any. And after we had done the quiz, I had the week before the finale to think about it, and I had the feeling I had made a great mistake, and that it was Bon. And when I got revealed to be the final eliminated, I knew it was Bon.
Yeah, I thought that, because when I had told Stig that I thought it was Alexander, of course, him thinking that I was the mole, he agreed with me. So I felt pretty confident in my answer, which was part of the reason why I was so shocked. Because I thought, Stig also thinking it was Alex was kind of a validation for me that I was right. And then when the screen turned green, I thought, that solidified it for me. The elimination freaked me out. And then between challenges, I had a flood of every single little thing that I had noticed Bon do the entire time, and it just kind of solidified it for me then that it was Bon. I knew it wasn't Stig. I just knew there was no. I just really didn't think it would be Stig at all. So it was kind of an easy answer for me once Alex was gone.
Yeah, after this episode, I had Pappy messaging me like, either you or Stig, one of you have betrayed me. I don't like you anymore. I was like,
and I even put a sign in my room that said I have been betrayed.
Now, did I really betray you? Really?
You lied to me.
I had to.
It's part of the game. All right, we're going to rock through the questions now. Some of the questions have already been asked, but we got a lot of viewer questions. There was a lot of the same questions. So in some cases, I went with the person who asked it first because there was just so many to go through. So first question was from Johnny98, and this is to all of you. What challenge did you enjoy the most? Some of you got eliminated early, so you may not have had a lot of challenges. But Lizzie, favorite challenge?
I don't know. I liked Hot Feet. That was pretty fun, actually.
Okay, Silicon hated all the challenges. So that's because he looks kind of grouchy. Retro,
Probably the first one.
find it and build it.
Yeah.
Poker.
I kind of like the mystery one where you had to figure out what gizmos, whatever. Even though I didn't do so well in it, but it was a good challenge.
Okay. Alexander.
I really enjoyed the Don't Get Trapped one, just because I won.
Okay. Stig.
I can't pick a favorite. I enjoyed all of them. If I had to pick one, I would also say the mystery one, just because it's a challenge not ever seen before, and I really enjoyed playing it. It was definitely fun trying to solve the mystery of Gizmo and his butt rocks. So.
Okay. Pappy.
For me, it's a toss-up. I liked You Be the Judge because I think that was the first time I've ever done parkour that I did really well with it. But I also liked Don't Be Last because I got to steal from poker.
All right, Bond.
Well, even before the mall, my favourite challenge has always been the long and winding road, so it would be that.
Okay. DB, as a viewer for this season, it should be known DB got no background information. Even during confidentials, we kept everything away from her. So, but did you have a favorite challenge?
Long and winding road.
Okay. Kama.
Yeah, I gotta say, Long and Winding Road, best challenge of them all.
Yeah. Now for me, the elimination. It's not a challenge, but it was my favorite because I love the elimination. I love the reaction of the players, and of course putting the plug-in in it. So I love all the challenges, but the elimination was the funnest thing for me. I just love doing it because it's so much fun seeing you guys fall into the pit.
Thank you.
And you got the joy of doing that first, Lizzie. All right, next question is from Panther Fan 435. I think this guy's a Carolina Panther fan, so my apologies to you. Your Super Bowl didn't go the way you wanted. This question has been asked and talked about briefly. And he says, did any of the players want to make anyone think he or she was the mole at any point in the game? So this is to everybody really except Bond. Did any of you might have touched on this a little bit, but if you want to solidify it or speak up, any mole-ish behavior you did on purpose?
I wasn't doing anything during the challenges, but between challenges, when we had time to kind of mess around, that's probably the time that I was trying to do the most mole-ish stuff. I think there was one time where we were waiting to go in to do the elimination, and Alex and Poker were by the elimination door, and everybody else was all around the mansion. And I made the comment that the mole is by the elimination door. And then I quickly ran away from that room. And I think it was Stig or somebody that came back and said, well, it's just Alex and Poker. And then my response was, well, there were 3. And I was hoping that somebody might think that I was talking about myself.
Anyone else? No mole-ish behavior on purpose?
As I said, in Hot Feet, I was trying to do mole-ish behavior, but it didn't go the way I planned, so not necessarily by me.
All right, well, the next question is from Emma, and this is for Bond, and he touched on at least one of these points, but maybe there are others. But she asked, Bond, did you ever say something that you thought gave away the fact that you are the mole? Now, you touched on in the escape that you felt like you did that, but did you feel like that happened anywhere else in the game?
I think the only other time it happened was when I mentioned the first challenge, Silicon, skipping it, which I did it as the mole, but then I thought, okay, well that's definitely going to make people think I'm the mole now. But other than that, I don't think so.
Can I add something into this?
Mm-hmm.
In the Dig Like the Wind challenge, if you watch it back, when Pappy called you out, you actually stumbled a bit, which made you look really mole-ish. Because it sounded like you got scared that Pappy called you out and that he was figuring out that you was the mole. He was kind of like giving us a hint that you was the mole. You seemed to like stumble a bit with like when you replied to him.
don't even remember that, but okay.
You said something like, I all the tunnels are colliding. It could have been anyone's tunnel or something like that.
It could have been. I don't even remember leaving diamonds behind.
Yeah, but you stumbled a lot when you were saying it.
All right, now we have another question. This was from Always Munching, which I'm assuming is always munching, but this time it was typed as munching, and it's for Bon. Were you happy you got picked for mole?
Yeah, I was actually thinking that when you messaged me, it was only like 2 days or something, or maybe 1 day before the actual first recording. So I was thinking, okay, he's messaged me now, no chance I'm going to be the mole. I picked the mole like weeks ago. And then when you told me that the person that wasn't in it was going to be the mole, and now I was the mole because they were out, I was thinking, oh my god, I did not expect this.
Well, that answers the question I was going to ask later, but sure.
All right. Now, another question from the burrito, or that burrito dude. And again, this is kind of for the mole, Mr. Bond. What did you find the most challenging being the mole and trying not to get caught?
I don't know if there was really a part that I was trying that was really hard not to be caught, bar the part when I called out Silicon about taking the penalty, and of course my horrible parkour skills. But apart from that, I don't think there was any part I was super worried about.
Okay, another question. Now this one's for Pappy. This is, and you've touched on this. This is from TEGZ Sam. And he says, Pappy, were you intentionally being suspicious, as most players thought the mole was you, or do you think you were just lucky that they thought what they did?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I wasn't intentionally trying to do anything during the challenges, which is what the viewers would have seen in the videos. I really was just trying to put up a good show, because I'm kind of self-conscious a little bit, because I think people think that I'm awful at Minecraft. Based on UHC and other things. So I was nervous a lot of the times about just trying to at least do somewhat decent in each of the challenges.
Okay. All right. Next, and we're kind of rocking through these. Question for Lizzie from Caitlin. And she says, Lizzie, will you ever play again, even though you are young and you got eliminated at first?
I would like to play again, yes.
At least for me, I'll say this. In the early seasons that Lizzie did, she was very young, and she got through with luck the first season and made it as far as she did, because she really, literally, it was just poor play by some of the other players, and she got through with luck. The second time she played, her luck caught up with her a little bit. This time, I think she didn't put any effort into really studying what the game was. I think she kind of forgot most of what she had done in the past, and even how the game worked, because I don't think she understood the quiz. And at least for me, I think you put almost all your answers on one player in the first quiz.
I did.
Very bad move. Early on, you want to spread them out. So that was her downfall. I think now she understands the game better, and she's older. So it'd be interesting to see. But you'll have to wait and see if Lizzie does make a reappearance. But obviously, she said she would like to. All right, this question goes to everybody except Bon, according to Mr. Chewable Tablets, and it makes sense when you hear the question. So all you players that aren't the mole, was your top priority to either make it to the end or try to get there, or try to get the players to win? So this is basically, were you more concerned about just surviving, or more concerned about the diamond count and winning? Because this is the thing I always talk about, is the difficulty with the TV show versus us. The TV show is giving you $250,000 possibly for winning. And the mole's getting paid, not what the players don't get, but the mole gets, I think, a flat fee or something. But since there's no millions of dollars here on the line, were you only concerned about winning? Because a lot of the viewers complained that they felt like you guys didn't care about anything except surviving.
Well, I guess I played more for both to like survive and for the diamonds, but there are times where you get so into the challenge that you're doing, you kind of forget about the diamonds and you start paying attention to who you think is the mole, and you're trying to think, well, if I get through, I can like survive longer and stuff. So sometimes you just kind of forget about the diamonds and you just kind of focus on surviving a bit more. So
Yeah, there were usually when we were in the challenges, I was focused more on the diamonds than I was about the mole. The mole stuff I tried to worry more about between challenges, but like you can hear it in my voice and you be the judge. I didn't like the order that we were going to be doing because I thought Alex was the mole and I did not want him to go last because if it was a timed challenge for the group, I knew that he could run down the clock that way. So there was a lot of things that I wanted to say in some of the challenges, and I don't know why I didn't say anything. But I could have been a lot more involved than what I was.
I really just wanted to survive as far as I could, but that obviously didn't happen. I cared a little bit about the diamonds, but not as much as I cared about surviving.
Okay. Next question is to Bon, and it's from Frogman504. And he says, Bon, in the finale, you said, well, since the people were bad players, it was quite easy, explaining about being the mole. Can you name an example for each player for them being bad?
Well, I did it as a joke, but no, I can't. That was a joke. I didn't mean that literally. I didn't mean like these people are horrible at Minecraft. Don't believe them. That was just a joke.
Well,
Okay.
but we were really bad at the challenges, though.
Yeah,
Quite
no-
a few of them.
Well, there was some people who were like weren't the best at parkour, but I can't really complain because I'm horrible at parkour. But no one did like extremely horrible.
Another question, though, for Bon from Sammy, and wants to know what your reaction was when you were chosen to be the mole. Not to play, but to be the mole.
But for me, it's basically, I found out I was going to like. I didn't think I was going to be able to play because when it came to like a day or 2 days before, I was thinking, okay, I'm not playing. Looking at this, then when Boz did tell me I was going to play, I was really, really happy. So I was already extremely happy. And then when Boz then told me that the person that didn't get in was the mole, then that made me super, super excited, but also like shocked. I didn't think that would happen.
Well, I want to correct, though. I mean, the person who didn't make it wasn't necessarily going to be the mole.
Oh, okay.
So we hadn't decided yet. Kama and I were talking about it, and we couldn't make a decision because of the unknown with one of the players not being able to potentially commit. So we were like, because you want to look at all the players together and then try to decide who would be a good mole. So we were struggling with a pick. And then when we decided that player who couldn't commit 100% because they had like a job interview and they might have started working and not been able to play, and we didn't want to have a player just drop out, that if there was a chance. I feel bad for that player. Hopefully they can play another season. But then I thought, well, this is perfect because no one's going to think Bon is the mole because they all know Bon was an alternate and brought in at the last second. So this is going to give Bon extra protection from the players. Some said they thought it. We talked about that. Some of the players said that kind of crossed their mind, but it sounded like it wasn't a huge factor. But at least when it came to the players, Bon fooled them all up until that last episode.
Happy
the last
actually messaged me saying, if you do play, I know 100% you're definitely going to be the mole. I was like, what?
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, when we were doing the beginning party with introductions and everything, Boz wasn't completely convinced, or didn't seem like he was convinced that it was just going to be 8 players, that he was still trying to decide how many. And we had I think there were 3 alternates. I won't reveal who those are because
there
for
was
obvious
4,
reasons.
but one of them couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Remember? Yeah.
But I just kind of had this feeling that maybe that was a ruse in itself, and that there was going to be 9 players, that Bon was going to be brought in, and that he was going to be the mole. And the reason for that is because we were all, at that time, everybody was on this high about how well Bon had done in a UHC match as the mole, where he had his team split into 2 groups of 2, he killed his partner and had convinced somehow his other two teammates that the person he had killed had been the mole. They had no idea that he was a mole all the way up until the end, and then he took him out. So he had done such a brilliant job, probably I think better than any mole that we'd ever had in a UHC. I just knew that he would be a top choice to do that. And I think it was Wild Wolf that pointed this out in season one time during one of the interviews, where he said, at this point in the game, it's not a matter of who I think would be the mole, but who I think Boz would choose to be the mole. And that's where it was coming out for me, where I figured it would probably be Bond more so than anybody else.
Let me address that real quick. I don't think Kama and I at any point thought about any UHC performance in the mole of Bond. It never even crossed my mind.
Nope.
I've done so many UHC matches, hosted so many of them. They all bleed together. All I ever remember is who's at the top of the leaderboard in some cases each season. But that had nothing to do with it. And then commenting just on alternates, I always want to have 2 alternates before the season starts, like going into that first episode, because we've had 2 people drop out the day of the recording, basically, in the past. So we had 4. 1 couldn't do it. We were down to 3. We had 1 player a week or so before becoming questionable about being able to do it because of a job interview. So now we would be down to 2 alternates. Therefore, I locked it at the 8 that we had because I was afraid to use even one of the other alternates because I was so worried that somebody else or 2 people might drop out again. So I wanted to still have my 2 alternates just in case. No one else dropped out, but I never know what's going to happen, and I always want to have some buffer. So there was no secret of bringing 9 in or 10. I just like to have safe numbers. But I, spent a lot of time trying to think about them all. Kama and I talked about it a lot, and it was a tough decision for us. And I think Bond was our choice mainly because we thought it would be sneakier. But, Kama, you can get some thoughts on that too.
Yeah, basically, when we were discussing who could be the mole, we ruled literally everyone out because we thought each and every player would be obvious to choose as the mole. So then we got lucky that the 1 player had to drop out, and we got Bond in. So that's how it played out in the end.
It must
All
be
right.
difficult. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it must be difficult to choose a mole knowing that all the players playing the game know each other quite well, apart from Lizzie, who doesn't really know us at all. So she was kind of meeting most of us for the first time. It must be difficult to choose a mole when everyone knows each other to an extent.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, in the first season, I think a lot of people thought I'd pick Lizzie because she's here, and I can coach her, guide her, and everything. And there was some thought about putting Lizzie in here, but because Lizzie doesn't know most of you guys very well. I think she has played some and Bond's been around, but I don't know. And Poker and Retro may have been around for some Lizzie stuff, but obviously they're a little bit more quiet. So I don't know if Lizzie would have been a smart choice for the mole. But then it's just there's so many reasons to throw people in or out. Eventually, you just got to make a judgment. The Bond thing, I think, worked out well for us on this one because even though maybe it didn't trick you guys the way I had hoped, you guys were still tricked by Bond. And the viewers were too. And the viewers always struggle. And it's tougher for the viewers than it is for the players because the viewers don't get to see the behind the scenes stuff. And sometimes that's where decisions are made more than in the challenges. But it's really hard to figure out a good way to show that kind of stuff. But let's move on. Another question. This is from Dark Knight. It was for Silicon, who's not here. So DB, if you wish to answer this for Silicon, you can go over there and do your best Silicon imitation.
Ooh.
So, Silicon, which parkour course did you hate the most?
Oh, well, I hated that one where you all had to jump and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Silicon.
You're welcome.
Our next question comes from MMDD1996, and it's for DB. Do you ever plan on being a player on the mole?
I have tried in the past, but there was one time where I couldn't make it for that one time, because I had a softball tournament that weekend. But doing this kind of like just viewing as a mole and then not as a viewer and then being confidential, I kind of like that, kind of being in the background rather than playing, because I like I don't I get so stressed out, I freak out, and then when everyone's like, "Oh, I think DB's the mole," I'll be like, "No, I'm not." Even if I'm not, and then I look suspicious, and then But to answer that straight, sure, I'd like to try it.
All right. All right. Now, there's more questions, and some of you players may be able to chime in too if you have thoughts on it. But we do have one last question. It's a video question, the only video question, and it was sent in by Bella. And she says,
Hi, I'm Bella. And I've got 2 questions for the reunion of the mole. So I've got one question for Bond, which is, do you actually have a shiny Bonsly in game? If so, what colors are it? Because I have never seen a shiny Bonsly. And 2, one for Boss. What was your favorite season to produce? And actually, what was your favorite player from it? Thanks!
all right, so Bella had 2 questions. One was for Bond. Do you have a shiny Bonsly in game? And if so, what color is it? I have never seen one, and I'm too lazy to look it up on Google.
Well, I think I've probably had one before, but couldn't tell you right now. I haven't played personally Pokemon in quite a while. I made this account I used this username first about 7 years ago or something on a different game.
Okay. Now, her last question was for me. Although anyone can chime in on this, although you guys players might be biased. But the question was favorite season to produce, favorite player from that season. So for me, the first season would probably be my favorite just because it was the first season. So it was like very nervous on how it would work, very nervous on how it would be received by viewers. So that's probably my favorite season just because it was the first. Favorite player from that season, I don't really have any favorite players. I was proud of Lizzie to get as far as she did, but I think it was just luck. But we'll say it was skill.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you guys had a favorite season at all.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I've been in one as a builder, and I played in one. So personally, I enjoy helping more than playing, even though I got really far for playing. Obviously, season 3, the best character there is Karma. Who else? But I think season 2, I think it was. And I really enjoyed watching Giz there a lot. Because he seemed like he had no clue what he was doing half of the time, and I think that was hilarious.
Other than this season, I feel like my favorite season was season 3, because it was like the first time that you brought fans into play, and I just thought it was very entertaining. There was 12 players, which meant that season lasted longer than the other 2 before that season. If I had to pick a favorite player, I think I would have to say probably Mike, just because he done really well. He struggled on some, but he was a really entertaining character, and I just liked the way he played the game.
Mine was season 2, and that would be Decil, because I found it funny how the same 3 people in seasons 1 and 2 were at the end, and Wolf and Piper were both the winner and the mole in both seasons. So Decil was like second place in both, didn't get to be the mole or the winner in both, made it so far. And that quite enjoyable to watch.
My favorite season was definitely season 1 because I got kind of far in that.
All right, we're gonna keep rocking on here. We got a few more. We got Mia and Wolf King both asked, does the mole get to see all the courses so he knows what to do to trick everyone, or do they just go blind-eyed and try to figure it out? We try to show the mole the courses beforehand. I don't know if it's a second recording session, so episodes 3 and 4. Bond couldn't come on in time, so he had to kind of be given very little background information. But one of the sessions, Bond didn't get any info. But yes, we do try to let the mole see the challenges, see, like in the case like Bond talked about in Dig Like the Wind, he knows where the diamonds is. And Thanks for the Memories knows where every block is, so you can take screenshots or whatever. We try to give the mole a heads up. In the case of this season, there was the one episode or 2 episodes, because we do them in blocks of 2, that Bond didn't get to see it. All right, the Flying Angel asked, does Bond, as the mole, write your signs for the players eliminated before or after? He didn't write them. This season was generally we wrote them. In the first season, I think Piper kind of did a little bit, but generally when we did the confidentials, we would write them. Sometimes the mole would come in. One of the problems we had was like when Danny was the mole, his signs, he started trying to write them and they were spelled wrong, because we always teased Danny about his spelling. And the phrasing was so Danny that we were like, we got to just do these ourselves. So pretty much this season, every sign you saw in an eliminated player's room was written by me, I think. Bond, I mean, it was just mainly we would do them right before the confidentials. I would set the world up, put the signs in, and then Comma, DB, and others would come on and we'd record confidential. I think it works better that way somewhat because of like the Danny-isms. If anything was a Bond-ism, it might throw things off for players. So, all right. Next question comes from, I think, Turner 10 wants to know how many seasons of the Mole I plan to do, and I do ever plan on an all-star season. I plan on doing more seasons. We're going to try to do one this summer, so there will be a video go out in spring probably for people to apply. And all-star season, possibly. We probably need a few more seasons under the belt before we do an all-star. The only difficulty is trying to get some of these older players to come back, meaning not like age-wise, but the fact that like Piper kind of has given up on videos and stuff for the most part. Could she commit to Mole again? Obviously, sadly, Wolf is no longer with us. He passed away, so he can't be in it, and he would definitely be one of our all-stars. But bringing back previous Moles and all-star, people who came in second, would definitely be very interesting to do. Also, it would be interesting to have a season for the losers, the people who got knocked out in the first or second episode. So, like the in this case, Lizzie, Gizmo, people who had been dumped out early, let them like in the first or second retro maybe have them have their second chance. Even though Lizzie's played multiple times. But we'll see. Blockheads 36 wants to know hardest part of filming the Mole and favorite part of filming the Mole. So I think everybody can kind of answer this one too. For me, hardest part of filming the Mole is just getting everything set up, making the challenges. Even with help, it's still a lot of work. You do a lot of stuff last minute. The stress of making sure the challenges work. This season, adding some plug-in stuff to it, added a little bit more stress. So for me, it's just the planning and the execution and hoping everything works fine. When it comes to kind of the best part of filming the Mole, watching players get eliminated.
Well, the worst part about filming this season was getting most of the players to talk a bit more, to communicate a lot, which, left a few silent gaps here and there. The best part is, I guess, the final product, pretty much.
Players?
I think the best part is between the challenges when we know we're not, so we can like talk to each other without any of it appearing on camera, so everyone's like more loose and starts just blabbing on about random stuff.
That is fun.
Yeah, for me the best part is just the anticipation of what's next. what the challenge is going to be, how the players are going to interact, what role, Boz or Kama are going to play in each challenge, what the mole might do. It's just that anticipation. And then honestly, for me, my worst part is Boz's favorite part, and that's the eliminations, because you get to lose somebody, and it's sometimes it's hard. It's hard to see people go because you have so much fun with them.
Yeah, I agree with Pappy on the worst. Seeing people be eliminated is really upsetting because, like, you're having fun with the people you're playing with, and just see them get eliminated is really upsetting because you want to have more time, spend more time with them, and to see them go is really upsetting. For me, I think my favorite part is having to actually play with these guys though, because everyone here is like a great sport. We're all good friends. And it's just fun playing with all of them, and yeah.
Yeah, I think the worst thing of all, and I feel so bad about this part of the game, is some people, most people are very excited. The people who play this are fans of the mole. They want to play it. It's a very exciting thing. And if you're one of those first couple to go, you really don't get to play the game. And when the player is eliminated, they go. They get dropped into the pit, they die, they log out, they say their little quick goodbyes to the players, and they leave Mumble. And they don't come back until that finale. And of course, this reunion. So it's over. And it really sucks to do something you're so excited about, and you're done in one episode or two episodes. And then you literally, in the case of Lizzie or Retro, or as you go through the eliminations, they're seeing the videos of challenges that they'd never actually seen before. So it's disappointing to see players have to go early, but it's part of the game, and you have to be prepared for it. But it happens. Aaron asks, why do you use 5 questions for The Long and Winding Road when the TV show only used 3? Honestly, I can't remember way back when we first made that decision. I don't remember if I wanted it to be a little harder because I felt like people might know each other, the crew, because the first episodes were mainly just crew. So I felt like they knew each other and we needed more questions to make it tougher. I think that's why we did it. And I think the only other explanation would be Giz wanted 5 when he built it. But I kind of think I wanted it to be more than 3 questions because everybody knew each other. If we would have started with the game the way the TV shows, with random people who have no knowledge of each other except playing the game together, and when they play the game together on the TV show, they live in the same houses together, they travel together, they're around each other 24/7. They build a relationship, but even then they only did the 3. So I think it was mainly just because the crew knew each other. We could go to 3, but I kind of like 5. It's such a late game challenge that I think it's fun. I like the questions more than I do the game. I have fun trying to come up with questions that might insult people. Now, Aaron also wants to know, is this finale room in the mole world or a different one? This is the mole world. So yes, all the challenges, the finale, the reunion, everything is done in the mole world. And he wants to know if it would be possible for me to upload the mole world. No. The reason I won't do that is not because maybe of Aaron, who probably just innocently wants to look at it, is I've had people who have said they want to take the world file and do their own moles. I don't have any lock on who can do the mole and who doesn't do the mole. Obviously, I kind of look at the mole as we started it in Minecraft. It was my idea. It's my baby. Some other people are probably going to try to do it. Hopefully they don't mimic me or steal the challenges that we did or we created. So nothing I can do to stop them. I'd rather people not do it because it's kind of my baby, but I understand it's the internet and people copy and steal. So, but I don't want to put the world out just because there are some people who want to use the world and the challenges to make their own moles. It's my thing. 12th Matt had the last question here, which is, what to Boz and Kama, what was your favorite challenge to make? Kama?
Definitely the escape one. That was I wanted to do something with redstone and something with a puzzle, so that's what I did in the end, and I had fun building it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably not the challenge as much as it is the plugin. I really enjoyed doing the elimination plugin because I liked the automation. It made my life much easier when it came to the editing process of not having to keep cutting in and out all those screen change commands. I liked it when the players walked up, it automatically locked in. And then I had a random delay, and I had a longer random delay for the red, the eliminated player. It didn't work in the first 2 episodes because we recorded those back to back. It had a bug, which I fixed for all the subsequent. And I'll use that plugin throughout future seasons of the Mole. If I had to pick a challenge that was probably my favorite to build, it was probably Everyone's a Critic, just because it was a bigger build. I usually don't try to do very big things. I used World Edit to do the pyramid and stuff, but I kind of enjoyed just that big building and kind of having it decorated with art because we had the critics and stuff. Originally, I had a whole bunch of pre-stuff I was going to talk about, like intro to the challenge, talk about art and critics over the years, but I was just we'll just stick with just the challenge. All right, well, we're going to go ahead through here and let everybody kind of give their final thoughts. And then we got something special we're going to do. Lizzie, any final thoughts from you?
I don't know, not really.
Okay. Retro?
Not really.
Poker?
It was great fun and love to do it again.
If Silicon was here, DB, what would he say?
Oh yeah, this was the best season because I'm the best and DB's so cool.
Okay. Alexander?
Nope.
Stig?
I really enjoyed the game show. It was definitely fun. Honestly, I prefer this to PvP because it's just more fun. This might be a new thing that I enjoy in Minecraft. So yeah.
Pappy?
Yeah, I mean, I've said it before. This is a great group of people. I think we've all had a lot of fun doing things online. Looking forward to the potential of doing more things with some of them in the future. And I just want to say GG to Bon for doing such a good job as the Mole. And you figured you fooled me till the very end. And props to you and to Boz for putting this all together, and Kama for helping him out, and DB with helping out with the confidentials.
All right. Bon?
Well, I thought my favourite genre of game has always been puzzle games like Professor Layton and things like that. Always loved. So the Mole is definitely a very fun thing to do in Minecraft. And being the Mole makes it even more interesting because you have to try and fool everyone else. So I find that really, really fun to do. Although it is bad when you see people get eliminated, you're like, oh, why do I have to get them eliminated for all that? But it was really, really tons of fun to do.
Okay. Kama?
Well, I enjoyed being on this side of the Mole this time, building, setting up quizzes and all that. It was stress as well, but I also had a lot of fun, and seeing these players do the best to beat the Mole to win the game.
All right. DB?
I'm glad that I was just able to help out a bit during this season because I haven't really been involved in Mole much. So it was kind of cool kind of getting in there, and I still cried when Poker got out, and that kind of killed me inside. So it was good. It was good. I liked it.
All right. Well, I want to thank all you guys for playing. Obviously, some of you went further than others, but thanks for taking all that time out of your lives to do this. Bon, thanks for obviously playing the Mole, which is the difficult job to do. You did a great job. Silicon, thanks for being so steady. He hardly moved at all this reunion. So kudos to you and your posture. DB, thanks for helping with Confidential and your poignant questions that you asked everybody today. And obviously, Kama, big thanks to Kama for all the help he did with challenges, fixing the beauty lacking factor of my challenges, and being there for quizzes and all the other background stuff. Mrs. Boz for helping me when Kama was missing the 1 week that he had to work, where it was back. I think it was the back to school week. So she was nervous, but she helped, and I couldn't have got through that one without her. And thanks to all you guys who watched, who commented, who voted, and everything else. Send in your questions. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. I tried to get to the main ones. But I want to thank everybody for a great season 5. There will be a season 6 coming this summer. Stay tuned to the channel. Make sure you subscribe and watch out. You'll see it. I'll tweet about it too. Follow me on Twitter, etc., etc. Come watch a lot of these people play different games with us and also on their own Twitch channels. But if you come follow me on Twitch or here, you'll see a lot of times we play stuff. A lot of these players are playing with us. And then you can also see like some posts from like Nightbot and some of our bots that tell all the channels that some of these people have. And we'll add more for those that aren't in there that do stream. But we got one last final thing we're going to do before we go. And there you have it. I did see some TNT did survive there in the water. But we have no mansion left. We kind of have a TV screen.
Yay!
You can still eliminate players.
Yep.
And you can still see the pit. So that's all that's left of the mansion. The pit is still there. There still is lava. So that does it. Season 5 of The Mole. Congrats to you all. Congrats to Bon. Congrats to Pappy. Thanks to Kama. Thanks to DB. If you guys want to say your goodbyes, that's it for Season 5. See you in Season 6.
Bye.
Bye.